Okay, picking up where we left off, Yo Dog, before we begin, I want to remind you or mention to you, post-Revolutionary War period, most Northerners dropped slavery. And by most Northerners, I mean most Northern states and the residents thereof. They actually abolished it in most Northern states after the Revolutionary War. Cotton gin was invented in 1793, as we've discussed in class, which increased the need for slaves, at least on plantations. But there were over 4 million slaves already in the United States, so slave trade was abolished by Congress January 1st, 1808, and that plan to abolish it, which started in January of 1807, was actually supported by Northern and Southern members of Congress. So the slave trade was in fact abolished in 1808, but aren't we still looking at slave states joining in 1820? Well, sectionalism, the industrial north, the agricultural south, and the wide open west. Three sections basically we have to the United States at this point. You're going to want to know what those are. So in the industrial north, we have factories. We are working for the man. Cities start to rise up because those factories are keeping people close to their jobs. And you actually earn income at those jobs, wages. So there's no reason to have slavery in the north anyhow, because we have people who work for money in the north. So there's no reason to have slavery going on here. And so northern members of Congress are against slavery. That's going to be some of the questions you're going to be answering in the review section of this lesson today. In the agricultural south, we can see kind of zoomed in and pictured here, there's exports of cotton and tobacco, other products that they can grow, because the economy in the South is primarily based on agriculture, farms, growing things. Whereas in the North, we saw that it's based on industry, factories, working for the man. So this agriculture concept, it's actually mostly small farms, and those small farmers have big dreams. Those big dreams would be of large plantations where they can make big money and have free labor instead of having to work the land themselves or possibly share a plot of land with their neighbor or someone else. So even though the South is actually mostly small farms, the dream is to go for large plantations, and Southerners as a group do support slavery. This brings us to the wide open West. Darn tootin'. Territories out here are starting to become states. Now, of course, this is a modern U.S. map where we can see what those states become. Congress makes those states. And so in this time period, it's just the Louisiana Territory. It's been mapped by Lewis and Clark, but pretty much it's just the wide open West. Congress likes to keep a balance. Currently, our current 2021 Congress, the Senate is balanced 50-50. 50 Democrats, 50 Republicans. Now, did they want that going in? Not necessarily, but when nobody's happy, on a certain level, everybody's happy. And so they're looking to keep that balance as they make states as well, which means since in the North, those blue states are mostly without slavery, and those southern red states are mostly with slavery. As the wide open West turns into states, there's going to be debate over which ones have slaves and which ones don't to keep Congress balanced. So, of course, as we see, the debate here is to keep the balance. Why? Because, like I said, when nobody's happy, everybody's happy. So, are we going to have the footloose and fancy free North where people can do whatever they want and go get a job, or the locked down South where slavery exists? Well, that's the great debate. Gets us to how the states got their shapes. Getting in shape. First of all, rivers. The Ohio River forms the border of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Virginia. All of Virginia, West and regular Virginia are the same in this time period, and Kentucky. And then the Mississippi comes down this way to form the border of Wisconsin, Iowa, Illinois, Missouri, which isn't a state yet. But why not, when we carve it out, have it stop here at the Missouri River? Makes sense. We'll keep using rivers to make our state borders. And oh, this line's coming across. I feel like that might come back. Sure enough, Missouri Compromise line technically starts here at the edge of Virginia, reaches all the way across North Carolina, Tennessee, into Missouri, And this is why Oklahoma has its weird shape, because Texas has to stay below the Missouri Compromise line. So we are seeing states, 7 of them to be precise: Virginia, Kentucky, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, North Carolina, Texas, all following that Missouri Compromise line. Might be a